In the last beekeeping video, I discovered that one of my hives had swarmed up and left, and we looked in the tree and the swarm was still there. I kind of knew what to do, but I wasn't entirely confident in the process, so I called my friend Kaylee from the Honeystead. A lot of you beekeeping enthusiasts, at least those on YouTube, but follow YouTube beekeepers will most likely know of Kaylee from the Honeystead. There's my compost pile. What we have here is a ladder set up under a tree because one of my hives has swarmed up, and that swarm is still there. I just noticed it about an hour ago, and it's still there. You can see it right up in the tree there. See it up there? So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bait box on top of that ladder, because that's a 10-foot ladder, and I don't really want to have to stand up there and collect that swarm. On my little cart here, I have some things. I got a bottom board. This is a screened bottom board, but I made an insert so it'll kind of make it more like a solid bottom board. A lid, a box with inner cover, and some frames. So I called Kaylee from the Honeystead, and I was just asking her opinion because I needed somebody to talk through this with me and give me some words of confidence, because these are all things that I've seen, I've heard, I've known, but I haven't had very good luck over the years with catching swarms and keeping swarms. Catching them is fine, but keeping them is a whole nother thing. So I'm going to do a method. She gave me 2 or 3 things to try out, but this one I like because getting on the ladder is going to be a little bit risky. And for my own safety and for the pleasure of a beekeeping experiment, we're going to try to put a box on the ladder instead of trying to convince the swarm to come down. Hopefully the bees will make that decision on their own and go into the bait box. So first things first, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself there. We're going to go in and collect 2 frames from one of the hives, the established hives. And these 2 frames are going to be nectar, pollen, drawn comb, things like that. Kaylee called it a home warming gift. Let's give the bees a party so that when they come in, it's going to look and smell familiar, and hopefully they'll want to stay. I brought the box in. We have room in here. There's 4 and 4, so there's 8 already in there. We're going to do 2 frames from this box. We're just going to take some that doesn't have brood. We want nectar, pollen, drawn comb. So we're going to put 2 of those in here, and hopefully that will be enough to encourage those bees to come down from their branch into this box and set up a home. Now that we have 8 empty frames and 2 with drawn comb, and a little bit of nectar and a little pollen and a little bit of honey forming, we need to get it prepared to get on top of that ladder. And part of getting it prepared means getting these boxes all put together and strapped together. Another tip was to put lemongrass, a little bit of essential oil lemongrass, in the hive. I'm assuming just a couple of drops. That will help mimic the smell, the pheromones of the queen, so that potentially will draw that swarm that's up in that tree. Oh, you can't see it. I don't have the thing turned around. You can see it this way. The swarm that's up there, draw them into this box. So I'm just going to take a couple of drops here. 1, 2, 3 drops. That was kind of like 4 drops, but one fell down between the frames, and I don't know that it got on the frame. So I'm going to say it's 3 drops. I don't know precisely what is normal for that, but we're going with 3. Now the bottom board, the hive box, the inner cover, and the lid are all one unit. It won't be falling apart on me when I go up and down the ladder. There's my box all prepared and secured to the top of the ladder. There's the swarm. Now I just got to get them to come down, get inside there. So why didn't I just do like you see all over the internet, where you get a box, you get up and you shake the bees into it and you carry them to their new location and you put them into a box? That method works for a lot of people, and it's worked for me once, I think. But my typical experience is that I go through all that effort and I get the bees shaken into the new hive, the new box, and then they just almost immediately leave. Even if I do have comb and you know, whatever resources in there, it just seems like maybe that's a little too aggressive. I'm gonna try this method. I have no idea if it's gonna work. But if it does, how cool is that the bees can make the decision to move into the box rather than me making the decision for them and forcing them into a box. Right now, that swarm has scout bees running out trying to find a place to live. They may find some other place that is more enticing to them than this box. But what if the smell of this, the lemongrass and that new drawn comb and that honey and nectar, what if that is attractive enough for them to just come right down into that box? Then the bees made that decision, and I really think that gives me a better chance of keeping this swarm. Another reason I chose this method is that I think my safety is valuable. The bees are going to be fine. Even if I don't capture that swarm, they're going to be fine. They're going to go out, find a place to live, and they're going to do what bees do. But getting up on that 10-foot ladder and trying to convince those bees into a box is risky. Now, I could probably do it, and I could probably do it safely, but it is risky. This method is a lot less risk to me, and actually, I think if it works, it's going to be better for the bees. So now I'll just come back every day. Probably tomorrow afternoon, I'll come back and check to see if that swarm is still there. If the swarm is not in the tree, then I'll be checking to see if they are in the box. Hopefully that works. Like I said, I just think it's valuable for every beekeeper to consider their own safety. Hello. The bees are, now I can't talk. The bees are going to be fine, and there's actually some benefit to having these bees that I've managed to go out into the wild, I guess, and become feral bees, because that's good stock. These bees are not aggressive bees, and they're going to go out and help, you know, repopulate the area. So that's also a benefit. So a big shout out and thank you to Kaylee from the Honeystead. She talked me through this and gave me a little confidence, at least to try it. We'll see if it works. If not, it's not your fault, Kaylee. The Honeystead is a really cool YouTube channel. She does more than bees. There's all kinds of things going on there. She's got herbalism and cows and just fun homesteading type stuff. Go check her out. Leave a comment. Tell her that Daddy Curbs sent you. I would love for you to leave a comment down below, sharing with me maybe methods that you have used to catch and keep swarms. Let me know if you've tried this method and how it worked out for you. I'm really interested, because this would be a lot easier than the shake and catch method that I've tried in the past. And remember, I do believe that everyone has a story and every story counts. Thank you so much for being a part of my story through this video and letting me be a part of yours. I'll talk to you soon.